My name is Tori Lupinek, and you are listening to The Unclassical Musician, the podcast empowering the new generation of classical musicians to take risks and live a fulfilling life. Each week, we dive in headfirst into a topic on the minds of young professional musicians and come out the other side with a new perspective on life as an artist. Hello, friends. Greetings from the state of Texas, the energy capital of the world that was plunged into a blackout by a winter storm. If you want more information, or if you just want someone to explain to you what happened in the state of Texas this past week, if you like listening to podcasts, which I assume you do if you're here listening to this, you could try out The Daily, which is the New York Times podcast. They do an episode every day, and they did one episode of the issues in Texas this last week. So if you want more information about the electrical systems and the leadership and all of that, down here in one of the largest states in the union, you can go ahead and check that out. Me personally, Robbie and I, we fared very well. We are very, very fortunate. We did not lose power at all. Like, we might have lost power for like 2 minutes. Like, our clocks are 2 minutes behind. Like, that's it. And we had water issues for one day, other than this boil notice that's been going on for a few days. I'm recording, this is Friday the 19th right now, so we're still under a boil order, which I had never experienced before moving down to Houston. But we had a boil order about this time last year also, when a huge water main burst for the entire city. So that was a thing also. So we're used to boil orders here. It's not normal. Shouldn't be happening. And grocery stores don't have any more bottled water. The tap water, if you have tap water, is disgusting. And you need to strain it before you can even boil it. So that's where we're at right now. Hopefully it'll be over soon. Fingers crossed. Anyways... We really are very, very fortunate, to the point where I was feeling guilty even having heat and even having running water this week. So if you have been struggling this last week, I just hope that y'all are doing okay and you got out of it. And the most important thing is that you still have your health and your family's health. You know, it'll be warmer soon. Anyways, I hope that you enjoyed last week's conversation with Just Voight Page, and I hope that after listening to that episode, you were feeling super inspired to go all in with your dreams for your career as a musician. I know it's kind of cliche to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. If you believe it, you can achieve it. By simply just imagining and dreaming about what you want out of your career, you know deep down that it is possible for you to accomplish those dreams. So remember to just start. Start before you're ready. That's possibly the most important thing. Just don't be afraid to start. Today, I'm going to share with you a little bit about my relationship with money, starting from at the end of my time as a student and just getting started as a flute lesson teacher down here in Texas. I'm also going to share with you a couple tips that helped me to change my relationship with money, get out of my starving artist phase, and get out of debt. So make sure you listen all the way to the end, because the tips are going to be coming at the end. So when I was in my last semester of school, that one semester of an artist diploma I did, I was not making a lot of money, right? I had a small stipend from the university for my assistantship. I had a handful of private students, and I worked part-time at the campus Performing Arts Center when I had time. It was enough money to live on as a graduate student, save a little bit, and that's about it. When I left school, I had enough income saved to get me up to Alaska, but I had to get a part-time job when I was there. My part-time job, which if you've been listening so far, you know I worked at a small web design firm. They paid me $15 per hour for about 15 hours per week. You can do that math. It ain't much. Pretty much all that money went to groceries, gas, paying for my Planet Fitness membership, not a sponsor, and the Noom diet program I had bought, also not a sponsor. I only had that job for about a month before I moved back to Illinois and back in with my parents, who graciously did not charge me rent and did not make me buy groceries. Thanks, Mom and Dad. So I was effectively unemployed for the first time in my adult life from April of 2018 through August when school started and therefore lessons started in Houston. When I moved to Houston in June, I was living very, very cheaply. This was my starving artist phase. I wasn't starving, but I was also not spending money on anything other than food, which sucked because I had lost 30 pounds and wanted to buy some cute clothes that actually fit me. I also had agreed to go on a girls' vacation with some friends from college, and I ended up depleting my savings for it. Worth it. Would not trade that time for the world. Had an amazing trip back before COVID, but depleting my savings was stupid. Starving artist, you see. So when school started mid-August, I was very eager to start working and get as many students as possible. But I'll tell you what, it was slow going. I didn't make real money teaching that fall semester. I didn't. That semester, I learned a lot about teaching lessons in and around Houston. But that will be an episode for another day. Stay tuned. It's in the works. I'd say second semester of that first year of teaching was when I was finally making enough money to live on and not be worried how much or how little I was going to make the next month. In that year of being minimally employed, I ran through my savings and I racked up my credit card, which is super easy to do when you're first starting out and being your own independent adult. I am very lucky that I didn't have student loans to worry about on top of everything else. Yay for scholarships and assistantships and working part-time since before I could drive. Even though I was making enough money to feel comfortable, I was still finding that I wasn't paying close attention to where the money was actually going. Sometimes I would make a big credit card payment and then regret it because the rest of the money didn't last until the end of the month, and then I had to charge my last week of groceries, for example. I realized if I didn't want to live with that uncertainty anymore, I finally had to do what every responsible adult tells young people to do. What do you think it is? Live on a budget. Not glamorous. Definitely not glamorous. When you know exactly where each dollar of your income is going, you know exactly how much you can responsibly spend on fun stuff like makeup and activewear. At least that's fun stuff for me. You know exactly how much you can save and also exactly how much debt you can pay down. But before we get to the juicy tips, I just wanted to take a quick moment to, since we're talking about budgeting and disposable income, plug Patreon. The Unclassical Musician is on Patreon. If you have even $5 of disposable income per month and you would like to contribute to the production of this show each week, I would be so grateful. In exchange, you will belong to the exclusive community, the exclusive Patreon community of unclassical musicians. There's a lot of perks for being involved. It's in the fledgling stages right now, but I'm really excited for where like all of the potential and all of the possibilities that it holds for the future. There's 3 different tiers that you can donate at. Like I said, starting as little as $5 per month, and you've got specific perks at each tier. So if you want to learn more, I'll put the link in the show notes, but you can always go to patreon.com. That's patreon.com/the unclassical musician. And if you do decide to contribute to the production of the show, just so you know, you get billed on the 1st of the month. So if you sign up now, you wouldn't get billed until March 1st. And now back to the show. Have you heard of the 50-30-20 rule of budgeting? You might have. If you know about budgeting, if you're a little money savvy, you've probably seen this rule floating around on the internet. Basically, it's a rough rule for dividing up your expenses each month. It's like a starter budget, essentially. 50-30-20. So 50% of your income is spent on your needs. This is your living expenses. This is your rent or your mortgage, your utilities like electricity, internet, heating and cooling, groceries, gas, insurance, phone bills, your necessities. Okay, that's 50% of your income. 30% of your income goes towards your wants. Yes, you can and you should spend money on your wants even when living on a limited budget. Wants like going out for dinner, shopping, paying for your streaming service, your gym membership, stuff like that. Obviously, you can only spend 30% of your budget on these things. So you need to prioritize what you want to spend your money on each month, because chances are, as a musician just starting out, you don't have all of the money for all of those things, right? So it may change from month to month, or it may stay the same. It just depends on you, your income, and your priorities. Finally, 20% of your income goes towards your financial goals. This category would be paying off your student loan debt, paying off your credit card debt, putting money in savings, the stuff that pays off in the long run, right? The 50-30-20 rule was popularized by Elizabeth Warren. Obviously, this method of budgeting does not work for everyone, particularly low-income households where over 50% of your income goes towards rent alone, never mind other necessities like groceries. So this 50-30-20 model implies that you have disposable income. Let me tell you, there were months where I barely had enough to cover my necessary expenses, and I did not save at all. There have also been months where I had enough money to reach my savings goals and pay my credit card balance all the way down to zero. As a musician who works independently, there are times of feast and famine. We know this about the calendar year. We know this about the arts and culture economy in this country. When you follow a budgeting model like this 50-30-20 rule, it gives you some peace of mind knowing that even on a low month, you know you'll be able to make it. This also goes along with not living outside of your means. That's a whole nother thing, okay? Now, about that 30% bracket. Spending a little money on my wants each month actually inspires me. It gives me a little reminder of all the fun things that I can do with money, which isn't a bad thing. Having disposable income allows you to have more life experiences and maybe also like have some clothes that you feel inspired to wear and help you be your best self, right? Wanting to have disposable income does not mean that you have succumbed to the beast of capitalism. There is absolutely no shame in wanting to have extra money to put away to take a vacation to the other side of the world, or to buy a new camera to use for your YouTube channel, or to buy a new instrument. Lord knows instruments are so expensive, right? Money doesn't grow on trees. You will never be able to save enough for these fun things if you don't get real about where your money is going. Plain and simple. These wants should inspire you to get out there and make that money. If you want to read into this topic more, you should read You Are a Badass at Making Money by Jen Sincero. If you haven't read the original, which I know I've already plugged on this show, You Are a Badass, but maybe you want money-specific mindset shifting material, this is the book for you. You Are a Badass at Making Money. I'll put a link in the show notes. If you want to get real about your budget, you have to get real about how much money you make each month. That's scary. Especially if you don't make a lot of money, if you're just starting out like, oh God, I don't want to see that number, actually. You are not alone. But how are you supposed to be able to figure out what 50% of your income is if you don't know exactly how much you're going to make that month, right? You could do all these calculations manually, but there's an app that I use and really love, and it's called EveryDollar. EveryDollar was created by Dave Ramsey, who, if you don't know who Dave Ramsey is, he is a personal finance advisor. He's got his own radio show. He's written books, and he's built an empire out of his financial wellness business. He really has. And I can't recommend the content enough, especially as a musician. I feel like in school, we are always told that we're not in it for the money. We as artists, we are not in it for the money. And if you have teachers who have been real with you, you know, like I remember when I was a freshman at DePaul, and one of the first professors that I had, she said that we would be lucky to have a job that paid 30 grand right out of school. You know what? She's not wrong. Okay? So I think that there's a lot about being smart with your money as a musician that we were not taught in school. And I kind of had to figure it out for my own this way. Do you know what I mean? So I really recommend getting online and finding Dave Ramsey and signing up for his newsletter and using this app. So the EveryDollar app helps you track literally every dollar. As a gig worker, I'm able to update my income every month when it fluctuates. It also gives you a breakdown of 7 major budget categories, including giving, saving, housing, transportation, food, personal spending, and lifestyle spending. It will also show you the percentage of your income that you're budgeted in each area, and you can track transactions through the app as well. EveryDollar also helps walk you through Dave Ramsey's baby steps to reach major financial goals. With this app, I have been able to pay off all my debt and save for my emergency fund. I'm on baby step number 3 of 7, and it's a good feeling to have. It is a really good feeling to have to not have any debt right now, other than the debt that I owe my parents for love and affection for my whole life and my instruments. Speaking of which, I need to sell some flutes. Let me know if you're in the market. But really, I can't recommend this software enough. It changed my life, and it really helped me to be a responsible adult with my money. As a musician, here are some expenses that you'll have to add to your budget. Instrument repairs. If you're a flutist, that's your COA. You know that you have to do that once or twice a year. You know it's going to be expensive. Incorporate that into your budget so you're not surprised when it rolls around. Instrument insurance. You probably pay this monthly or quarterly or annually. You got to know when that is due, which month. if it's quarterly or annually, so that you're not surprised when it rolls around. Website hosting fees. Do you pay monthly or do you pay annually? Know when that rolls around. Private lesson software fees. Same thing. Memberships and dues for your clubs. For me, that is the National Flute Association and the Houston Flute Club. Purchasing sheet music or new technical equipment like microphones or webcams. And competition fees. This is just to name a few. Like, these are not things that the EveryDollar app is going to automatically populate for you, right? You got to remember to put that in there yourself. And all of these items would technically fall into your wants 30% category. Again, remember the 50-30-20 rule. It's a rough outline. It doesn't work for everyone. If you want to include some of these things as utilities, you can do that. Also remember that all that good stuff is tax deductible. Your repairs, your instrument insurance, website hosting, private lesson software fees, all of that stuff is tax deductible. If you need a little help setting up your budget to include all of these musician type things and still have a balanced ledger at the end of the month, give me a shout. I'm still doing my free 30-minute intro coaching sessions. I would be happy to help you. I'm kind of a nerd about this. I really, I know I'm engaged to a accountant, but I've always really liked numbers. I've always been good at math, and it makes me really happy to see on EveryDollar there's a green light that shows up when your balance is 0. It says it's an EveryDollar budget. Oh, that makes me so happy when that happens. Like I said, I would be happy to help you out. I'll put a link for sign up for coaching sessions in the show notes. That is always there. Now that we're here at the end of the episode, don't forget about Patreon. Just remember, you guys, podcasting is time. It's time, right? It takes time. And I produce this whole show by myself. A lot of the podcasts that you have probably been listening to for years, they have professional technical engineers and marketing people. So the hosts, they literally just sit down and record the show, and that's their time for the week. Not the case for us small podcasters. So I do all of that work myself. It's like a second part-time job. So if you want to make sure that this content keeps making it to your ears every week, I would really appreciate $5 a month from you. You have no idea how much of a difference that would make in my life. If you are not yet on the Facebook Unclassical Musicians group, link in the show notes, don't forget to join that. You can also follow me on Instagram at Tori Lupinek Flutist. If you want to follow the show on Instagram, make sure that you follow the hashtag The Unclassical Musician. Next week, very excited to bring you a conversation with another Chicago to Houston transplant flutist, Tyler Martin, on life as an orchestral student at Rice University during a pandemic and the future of orchestral music and the music industry. Ooh, it's going to be deep. I'm really excited about it. Tyler is a wonderful, wonderful soul. Such a light and fun personality. I can't wait for y'all to hear that episode. Also, real quick plug, I've decided that the episode on March 9th is going to be a Q&A episode. So the whole episode is just going to be me answering y'all's questions, and nothing is off limits at this point. So if there's a specific question that you want to ask me and you want to hear your question answered, I was about to say answered question. If you want to hear your answer questioned on air, make sure that you have your questions submitted to me by Friday, March 5th. And I'll put a topic request link in the show notes. You can leave your questions there, or if you want to email me, Tori@torilupinek.com, or slide into my DMs, as they say. on Instagram or Facebook, or there's a forum going on the Unclassical Musicians group on Facebook. You can leave stuff there. I'm going to leave a link for You Are a Badass at Making Money in the show notes as well, and info on the 50-30-20 rule and some stuff on Dave Ramsey. That's all going to be in the show notes. If you are not a regular show notes checker outer, I make them every week for your benefit, so you have them. And they'll always be there, and you don't have to go back and re-listen to an episode to get that additional information. Let me know if you find it helpful. Thanks. This was fun. As you can tell, I have my own Midwestern frugality. I might not be as old-fashioned as my parents and my grandparents. Maybe I would call it like an updated Midwestern frugality, but I really like my budget. And I really like having the financial freedom to not be in debt anymore. I really can't recommend getting real about your money enough, guys. And like I said, if you need help with it, give me a shout. I'm always happy to help. And with that, I hope that y'all are staying safe and warm out there. I know there's another snowstorm going through. Please be safe. All my Texans, I love you. I'm feeling for you right now. We're going to get through this. Have a great week. And I'll be back next week with Tyler Martin. Bye now.